The Feds are no longer going to be reducing rates this year, and that's going to cause for some very interesting things to happen to not only the stock market, but also the cryptocurrency market. Then throw in the fact that we've had our Bitcoin halving, and things are going to get really weird for the remainder of this year into 2025. Now, to start, we will be going in depth about this article in a second here, but looking at these cryptocurrencies, we're very close to getting some sort of new result for XRP specifically here, but we'll also be looking at Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, and the S&P 500, and things are just going everywhere, and this is pretty exciting. Now, to start, XRP is forming some sort of symmetrical triangle. We've been looking for maybe 2 to 3 confirmations. This is not yet time to be pulling the trigger, especially if we start to correct down here, because that would likely determine that we are not yet, breaking out, especially if we correct down to here, because ultimately we would just scale this a bit lower, move this a bit further up, and now you can see we've pretty much included a 1, 2, and then 3-point confirmation on this symmetrical triangle. It might be a bit too early to say get in right now or short the XRP current chart here. So we have to let things play out just a hair longer on XRP before we throw money into the markets, either buying long or selling short, so on and so forth here. But we're also going to be looking at Solana, which is continuing its ascent to the upside here. We have this massive bull flag, which we did break out of very nicely, and we're starting an ascent upwards. And that same thing we're also looking for on some of the other major blue chip cryptos like Ethereum, which has a major bull flag as well, which typically is a bullish bias. And I think we're going to see that result as well here, most likely heading to the upside. We'll then be looking at Bitcoin here, which also has a bull flag formation. As we fill this gap in, we're also looking for a nice reversal or swing to the upside, which we should be expecting to happen fairly soon. It might take a couple more days, maybe even a week or two, but inevitably in the grand scheme of things, it is fairly soon, and that would ideally start our ascent to the upside, which we have to look at. And the S&P is continuing to head higher, which is just absolutely nuts if you ask me, and I think this has a lot to do with the Feds and why they don't want to drop interest rates, because that will ultimately dump the stock market, which we all know will happen at some point or another. We are way overcorrected, and we are way too overvalued for a lot of these stock markets, especially when if you've been living in America, you would know things don't feel as the stock market reflects. Now, typically the stock market usually climbs out quicker than the economy does, but it also corrects quicker than the economy does as well. So lots of important things to go over and discuss in today's video. But with that being said, smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and let's jump right into today's episode. So guys, super quick before we dive into the technical analysis, make sure to go sign up to BidFi down in the description below. They're giving away free cryptocurrency, and who doesn't like free crypto? All you got to do is literally sign up with the link down in the description below, and you'll be able to earn some free crypto by following the instructions you can see here. You can earn up to $350 in free cryptocurrency by literally signing up and making a first deposit. Get your money, withdraw it back out, and you'll be able to claim free crypto. I think it's a win-win. I like to give you guys these trade opportunities, these ways to earn some free money while they pop out on the markets here. So make sure to go claim that ASAP. Anywho, moving on and into today's video, you can see here, if we jump to the current coin market cap, consolidation for the most part is taken over, but we're starting to reverse out of it here. We're starting to see a small swing back to the upside here. 2.8% for the past 24 hours on Bitcoin. Lots of these other cryptos are consolidating. Solana is actually rebounding nice, 6.8% here. XRP still consolidating. Cardano, Shiba still consolidating for the most part here. And that is all right if you ask me. Now, I guess I want to dive right into this article by the CNBC, which says the Fed is determined not to reduce interest rates too soon. Experts say a mistake the central bank has made in the past. Since the start of 2024, higher than expected inflation data triggered caution from the top Federal Reserve officials here. With inflation still high, they don't want to drop the rates and increase spending, which would ultimately increase inflation. They want to keep it higher to reduce spending, which will reduce inflation, and hopefully that makes sense. And that's also why and the stock market is also doing really well. And you'd think also if we increase, it might increase spending as well. I'm not entirely sure the direct correlation between the stock market results and inflation. If we start reducing rates and increasing spending, we should ideally see the markets head up even higher, but there might be more to that. It would increase more borrowing, more money would be moving around here. But the Federal Reserve is in no rush to lower its benchmark rate. Early expectations that the central bank was planning multiple cuts before the year end seem less likely. And I don't think we will. Now markets are pricing in less than a 20% chance of a rate cut in June, according to the measures, down from nearly 80% 1 month ago here. They were 100% certain, now they're 20% certain. Nuts how crazy things can change here. Inflation is still higher than where we expected things to go. The risk of allowing inflation to persist is why they're not wanting to decrease inflation, because then we will see inflation head even higher up, which is more problematic. The Fed has made two major mistakes in its history here. The first mistake was allowing the banking system to fail in the 1930s, and the second was the Great Inflation in the 1970s, when inflationary pressures picked up. The Fed tightened backed off prematurely, which is the risk of the Fed faces right now. And you can see the U.S. federal funds rate, consumer price index here. So we have the CPI versus the federal fund rate here. And you can see I like to base it off like the past here, and we don't look too bad here. But with this little flip that we have, we're starting to see some crazy stuff going on right now within the markets here. And then they continue on deep down. Powell is petrified. The Fed has engineered what looks to be a soft landing. Inflation is coming back down. The economy is still strong. It is because it is inflated that way. It's not really strong. Why would you waste rate cuts now and risk resurgence of inflation? That's what they're trying to do, when you really all you need to do is declare victory, he said. Even in prepared remarks last month, Powell referenced Volcker's earlier interest rate policy as a reason. Reducing policy restraints too soon or too much could result in reversals of progress. We have seen an inflation. The ultimate requires even tighter policy to get inflation back to 2%. And that's where things get really weird. Now, when we do see rate cuts, I do think we'll see even more money move into cryptocurrency, and that's the main focal point. Because if we do those rate cuts, more money will go back into the markets here, and people will be more interested in spending it. So until then, we are sitting ducks just for a little bit. There's less money floating around in the economy here. But it makes entire sense. But the problem is, the longer we hold these rate cuts at 7.5% for a mortgage and stuff like that, we're really screwing people and digging people in. We have the highest debt we've ever had, the highest borrowing that we've ever had. And the longer this sits, the worse off the economy is entirely, because people are hurting. People are hurting here. So with this still high up, people are going to be squeezed for more and more money, increasing the debt ratio more and more and more. But they don't want to drop the rates too early, because it will increase inflation, and then we're screwed even more. So if you're in debt, that's a problem. But enough on that tangent here. You can see how that's going to affect cryptocurrency in a little bit here, because once we saw major movements when the Feds were dumping money into the markets here, and we're not seeing that right now. So people are less, they're less ready to be throwing money into stocks, or they might be even more, because they're looking for other alternatives than regular, fiat money. But, feel free to let me know, chime in down in the comment section below. I'm interested here. But with the way the markets are moving to, yesterday we talked about how there's pretty much 7 days left in the consolidation that we're seeing across the board on some of these major cryptocurrencies here. And I think it holds true. I think a lot of these cryptos are still consolidating here. It might even be even longer on XRP, which I don't want to see happen, but it's possible, especially if we start to dip lower. Then we're going to have to tweak these charts even more. Like I said, we only have 2 confirmations. So until we start forming a third confirmation, I don't know exactly where XRP is going to want to move to. So we have to let this fill out, though. It could be sooner than we expected, which is definitely a good sign. But until then, yes, we are sitting ducks. There's really nothing to trade off of here. Could we have shorted this? Sure, it's a very small one at that, and aggressive nonetheless. But then we look at other cryptocurrencies like Solana and these other altcoins here, where we do have things that look really nice. We have these bull flags that did break out. And ideally, we're at a low point where I do suspect the markets will unravel and head up even higher. I think it's only a matter of time now. We're already starting to do that. We rebounded clear as day off Solana, which we talked about 2 days ago here. Then we bottomed off, and more than likely, we're going to rebound higher here. Probably have a little bit of turbulence on this price ceiling, but I think we're going to break through it and head even higher up. So like I said, Solana in the next 3 to 4 months, it's just going to be an overall great return and a great hold. Like I said before, we've taken the bars pattern here, overlaid it on this, took it, and then placed it over what we're seeing now, and it's very similar. This pattern is very similar, and typically what we see is a rally after that. We rallied up, and we're going to continue that as well because things look still very solid for Solana in regards to us slowly consolidating even higher. So this is a bottom. This is a good time to be capitalizing off rallies that we could see on Solana in the next couple of months. It'll probably outperform the stock market too, which is pretty crazy. And then we see things like Ethereum and Bitcoin, which haven't broken out just yet, but it almost foreshadows what we could expect to see happen within Ethereum and Bitcoin. More than likely, we need to consolidate. This needs to break through, and that's pretty much what we're waiting for here. Yes, could we do some intraday trading inside the channel? Of course. But for the time being, especially since we're getting squeezed, you can see these big swings are getting tinier and tinier. Decision time is almost upon us here. We're going to have to decide whether or not we want to break through price ceiling or the floor and either dump or pump. And we won't know that until we start to see that confirmation. Right now, we're just kind of sitting ducks, consolidating in here, trading at 50 on the RSI. So until we confirm closure above these resistances, we will just have to be patient, like I've said before. And that pretty much applies to a lot of these major cryptos. Massive bull flag on Bitcoin as well. As we fill this gap in here, we need to confirm closure above this major price ceiling. And once we confirm closure above this major price ceiling, we'll be able to buy in and long to the upside here. So until then, we are still sitting ducks. This price ceiling needs to be broken before we can buy in. Anyone telling you otherwise here is entirely wrong. Nothing's happening within this market that would scream buy in. If you guys want to see trades on like the hourly here, we can do that as well. But there's really no point in doing that until we see more of the daily charts. I like to play it conservative. You guys want to play it aggressive, it's on you, but that's pretty much it. Then as for the S&P, which is pumping higher, there's a chance we're going to continue to soar up, which would be insane, but there's a really good chance it's going to continue to head up and up and up. Reason being is because we've already reversed out of the downtrend here. And with this consolidation and as we head higher, it's probably going to pull a lot of these major altcoins with it as well. But with that being said, smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.